Second wave goes on, and the Chiefs are in on it, making a couple of acquisitions. And what's going on with OBJ? Welcome back to Locked On Chiefs. This is a bonus episode. We're just going to roll right into the details. Drue Tranquill, Mike Edwards have become Kansas City Chiefs. Two guys on very low-end contracts that I think can help contribute to this defense in particular. How do you like the acquisitions, and what do you think's going on there?
Really interesting on both of them. $3 million with incentives to make up to $5 million on both. I'll be quite honest. I'm kind of shocked about the Drue Tranquill one. Just because I thought linebackers were pretty much already set for Kansas City. And now I'm not so sure what they're doing or where they're leaning. Wasn't Joe Cullen a 3-4 type defensive coordinator or defensive guy before he came to Kansas City?
He certainly was.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you put it that way.
Well, it makes me wonder if they're looking at maybe changing the way they're going to do defense, because in this scenario, you have now 4 linebackers, 2 of them that had over 140 tackles last year, close to 150 tackles last year. Both of them wore the green dot. That's an interesting scenario.
It definitely is, and that was exactly my thought at first, too. Now, Cullen comes from a 3-4 background. He's run that very successfully. That doesn't mean the Chiefs are switching, but I do think that this allows them to maybe run a little bit more hybrid defense in 2023 and have some 3-man looks where in that scenario, you could play drop 8. You could just run your 3-4 base. You could do a number of things that it makes, I think, Spags a little bit more unpredictable. Plays into the fact that a lot of your defensive front has both tackle and end characteristics that can trade around. And if you're going to run, say, on first down, you want to be in a 3-4 base, you need 2 inside linebackers. 2 guys with 140 tackles plus sets you up to do that and allow Willie Gay to be an outside linebacker, rush the passer, get into the flats. Drue Tranquill is a coverage guy that can actually play really well in this defense. If that's the direction you're going, I think it gives you 2 things. It gives you that option to play the 3-4 a little bit more. It also gives you a complete backup because Drue Tranquill can play all 3 linebacker spots. And in particular, if Nick Bolton were able or had to miss a game or 2, Drue Tranquill can call that defense. He can be the guy in the middle and be the green dot. He can probably run not quite as well as Willie, but very close.
And the thing that throws me off on this is what does this mean for Leo? Because I don't feel like Leo fits that defense at all.
See, I disagree. I think he's more of the rush end. He's the power, the strong side.
So you think he can play
in a 3-4? Yep.
Really? Okay.
I do.
Interesting.
I think that's a nice hybridization because I do feel he rushes better from a 2-point stance off the line of scrimmage a little bit as a blitzing linebacker. But from a 3-4 point of view, he can still do that. He doesn't have to get down in the dirt and get heads up on a tackle. He can rush from the outside. I think it lets him be a little bit more multiple too and use his skill set to its advantage.
Fair enough. And Sean Taft, I'm just going to answer really quick. We do not currently have a nose tackle on the roster. So that is going to be something that they would have to look at and have to find. Thankfully, though, those guys are not going to be the guys that are going to be drafted high. If you're looking for those in the draft, you can usually get those much later in the draft as opposed to getting somebody in the first or second round. So that kind of plays into it a little bit as well. When you kind of go to the Edwards signing, though, I feel really comfortable with this signing, and I actually like it a lot because he's a special teams guy. He can play special teams. He started 12 games last year, so he gives you another guy that has starting experience in the NFL, and I think he can play really well at the third safety role.
The third safety role, yes. He is not a guy that I think should be in your top 2. He has a little bit of a missed tackle issue. He runs about 16-17% consistently, and we've seen some safety issues with tackling in the past. So I do think it has to be a specific role, and I do think he's better closer to the line of scrimmage. So that tells me that rather than being completely multiple with Cook and Reed and say Edwards, if he does end up being your top 3, instead of all of them rotating through the deep halves, I do think that if you're going to play cover 2, it's going to be Reed and Cook, and you're going to let Edwards come up to the linebacker level or somewhere in between. My only question is production as a robber. I haven't been able to watch enough film on him to get a real feel for what I think he can do there, but that is another option. All intents and purposes, if your front seven's now a 3-4 rather than a 4-3, and now you can roll in a Tranquill and another safety that you feel can be productive in that mid-range, intermediate route coverage, maybe take the ball away, I think that helps your defense overall.
Well, and you're sitting here looking at a situation where Edwards is a guy that's a lot of people are calling ball hawks. Our buddy John Ledyard has said that Edwards is going to be somebody that is going to take a lot of advantage of Kansas City being up late in games because he is the ball hawk type. So that's something to watch as well. Kansas City didn't get a lot of picks, especially from the back end last year. So that's something to watch. What I will say about these two moves is while I didn't think linebacker was going to be something they would address with this type of signing, I did think that they would maybe look for a veteran type because you're losing Darius Harris more than likely. He's not been tendered. He could come back on a cheap contract. We'll see. But you're still going to need a linebacker there. So then the question becomes, okay, well, yeah, you need defensive end, you need defensive tackle. Maybe there isn't that guy out there, but this shores up one of those positions that you could have had to have drafted. And now you're also in a scenario where you probably already have your third safety, so maybe you don't have to go up and go get a safety early in the draft. So it kind of really opens up what they're able to do in the draft even more to me.
Yeah, I agree. And it allows you to be multiple. There are a lot of corners in this group that I think can move to safety and can do a little bit of everything. More of the nickel safety types that you can still get good coverage out of. So I think, again, it opens up the versatility that they can see in the defensive backfield as an augmentation to McDuffie and Snead. I'm still waiting on the Snead extension, by the way. Williams and Watson. There's a law firm in there somewhere. I just have to figure it out. So I think overall, I think they're good signings. They're low cost, about $3 million a piece, right?
Yeah, $3 million a piece with upside to $5 million a piece with incentives. So don't know what those incentives are. We haven't seen the actual money. $3 million is what it's been reported as. Maybe it's not $3 million. Maybe it's a situation where it's 1.5 and they've got game day bonuses. That's something else to watch. Kansas City likes to do game day bonuses, so maybe that's going to play into it.
It could very well. What's not going to play into it, at least not right now, is $20 million a year for Odell Beckham Jr., who came out on Saturday and said, hey, I just don't know what's going on. I'm only getting offers at 4. I'll bet you the Chiefs are one of those. I'll bet you they have room to go up, and I'll bet you it ain't over.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not. I would be okay with them going up to 7 or 8. I think that's probably about the max that I would really want to go, especially considering it's going to be a 1-year deal more than likely. Because you're hamstringing yourself to be able to do anything else if you go up much more than that. I do think he can play, but he's had 2 ACL injuries, so it's also a risk. So something there. Personally, I would like to get younger at the wide receiver position, so I hope that you're looking at maybe adding a veteran to come in and be that guy to kind of teach the young guys how to play a little bit, and go draft somebody.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I like the concept of Odell Beckham. I don't like the cost, but again, if that's with Tony Moore, very very young, right? We expect there's going to be more draft picks. Still younger. MVS, I don't know if he can be an alpha in the room and be the leader that needs to be that. Maybe he can. Maybe I don't know nothing about the way the room works. But so I can see having to do both. It'll be very interesting. Folks, welcome. This is a bonus episode of Locked On Chiefs. We're giving you a rundown real quick of where they're at today.
Really quick, Doug in Kansas just asked a great question. What's Tooney's cap hit? Tooney's cap hit is huge for 2024. We will talk about that on an upcoming show. Creed and Smith are both up for extensions after this season, and I do think that they get an extension done with Creed after this year. But you have to remember, and this is another thing that I think that you need to consider when you start looking at what they're doing on the offensive line. Just because Creed could sign an extension this year doesn't mean his number will go up drastically in 2024. So they have another year before that's probably going to be the case. So something else to watch there. I do think they get a deal done with Creed after year 3. With Smith, I would like to see, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be coming down to what they're able to do here. I do see a question about wide receivers. We're going to talk about them on Tuesday in a little bit more depth because I don't think the top end of this draft is all that it's cracked up to be right now. But tune in for that. Thanks for spending a little bit of time with us as we give you a flash update and a bonus episode here on Locked On Chiefs. Make sure you like, sub, and hit the bell on YouTube. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be back with Mock Draft Monday. Should release Sunday night. You guys enjoy that. Have a good weekend.